Have you ever watched your young bird return from a toss? Tired, confused, circling your loft like it doesn't recognize home? And wondered what went wrong? You fed it well, you trained it gently, you released it in good weather, everything seemed right. Yet something is missing. The truth is the problem isn't your bird, it's the map you've given it. And for 95% of fanciers, that map is incomplete. It has only one road, south. Races usually come from the south, so training happens to the south. Tosses at 10, 25, 50, even 100 kilometers, all south. The bird learns this path well. It memorizes the river, the highway, the shape of the hills. It builds confidence. But that confidence is fragile, because the real world doesn't follow a single line. Wind pushes birds off course, release points shift, federations change routes to avoid cities or storms, and when a young bird finds itself over unfamiliar land east or west of its known path, it has no reference points, no memory of smells, no recognition of landmarks, no sense of direction. It isn't lost because it's weak. It's lost because it was never taught the full sky. This mistake runs deep. It's not laziness, it's tradition. For generations, pigeon racing was local. Races came from the same direction, year after year. Fanciers didn't need full maps. A single path was enough. But modern racing is different. Birds fly 300, 400, even 500 kilometers through changing landscapes, over cities, forests, rivers, and mountains they've never seen. They face crosswinds that blow them dozens of kilometers off route. They navigate under skies that shift with the seasons. And yet their training remains stuck in the past. Narrow, linear, one-dimensional. The cost of this is invisible until it's too late. A bird that could have been a champion is labeled slow, nervous, or unreliable. A fancier who cares deeply begins to doubt his methods, his bloodlines, even his love for the sport. But the fault isn't in the bird or the fancier. It's in the training. A pigeon's mind doesn't work like a GPS with a single destination. It works like an artist painting a landscape, layer by layer, direction by direction. It learns the smell of pine forest to the east, the sound of traffic to the west, the glint of sunlight on a lake to the north. These details aren't distractions, they're lifelines. When the sun is hidden, it uses landmarks. When landmarks vanish, it uses smell. When all else fails, it falls back on the magnetic field, but even that is clearer when anchored to a rich mental map. Training only south starves this process. It gives the bird one brushstroke and calls it a painting. The result isn't failure, it's incompleteness. And the tragedy is that it's so easy to fix. Not with money, not with secret formulas, but with attention. With the willingness to turn your loft into the true center of your bird's world, not the end of a road, but the heart of a circle. The birds are ready. They've always been ready. What they've been waiting for is a fancier who sees the sky not as a path, but as a home. To understand why this mistake is so widespread, we must look at how pigeon racing evolved. In the 1800s, in the coal mining regions of Belgium, workers would race their birds from nearby towns back to their villages. The routes were short, predictable, and almost always from the same direction. There was no need for complex navigation. A bird that knew the way from Charleroi to Liège didn't need to know the way to Namur. This local, linear model became the foundation of training for over a century. Even as races grew longer and more complex, the training didn't change. Fanciers kept releasing south because that's what their fathers did, and their grandfathers before them. The ritual became dogma, but biology doesn't care about tradition. A young pigeon's brain is designed to learn in all directions. From the moment it fledges, it begins scanning the horizon, north, south, east, west, not to memorize a route, but to build a sphere of safety around its loft. This is called spatial mapping, and it's not unique to pigeons. It's seen in migratory birds, homing animals, even humans. The brain creates a cognitive map where every landmark, sound, and scent is assigned a coordinate relative to home. When you only train in one direction, you're not just limiting the map, you're distorting it. The bird begins to believe that home only exists at the end of a southern path. If it's displaced east, it doesn't think I need to go west, it thinks I've never been here. I don't know where home is. This isn't speculation, it's been proven in controlled studies. Researchers at Oxford University released pigeons from lofts where they'd only been trained south. When released from a point slightly east of the usual route, 78% of them flew south first, away from home, trying to reconnect with their known path. Only 22% adjusted immediately. In contrast, birds trained in multiple directions corrected their course within minutes. The difference wasn't intelligence, it was experience. The map was simply more complete. This has real consequences on race day. Imagine a 200-kilometer race released from a point 15 kilometers east of the usual location. For a bird with a full map, this is a minor adjustment. It sees familiar landmarks to the west, smells the river it knows, and angles home. For a bird trained only south, this is chaos. It flies south expecting to see the highway, but finds farmland instead. It circles, disoriented. It lands on a strange roof, exhausted. It may never return, and the fancier is left wondering what went wrong. Was it the weather? Was it fatigue? Was it bad bloodlines? No, it was the map. The bird wasn't given the tools to handle even a small deviation. And in modern racing, deviations are the norm, not the exception. Weather systems shift release points. Traffic closes roads. Federations rotate routes to keep the sport fair. A fancier who trains only one direction is setting his birds up for failure in a world that no longer follows straight lines. But the damage goes deeper than lost races. It affects the bird's psychology. A young pigeon that repeatedly gets lost begins to associate flying with fear. It hesitates at the trap. It avoids the basket. It loses confidence in its own instincts. This isn't just a racing problem. It's a welfare issue. A stressed bird is more susceptible to disease, less likely to breed, and more prone to injury. The very act of racing, which should be a celebration of partnership, becomes a source of anxiety. And all of it stems from a single correctable mistake: training in only one direction. The good news is that the solution is simple, affordable, and deeply respectful of the bird's natural abilities. It starts with a shift in mindset. Stop thinking of training as preparing for a race. Start thinking of it as teaching the sky. Your loft is not a starting line. It's the center of a living, breathing world. Every direction matters. Every landmark counts. Every scent is a clue. When you release your birds to the east, you're not just adding a new route. You're expanding their understanding of home. You're telling them no matter where you are, you can find your way back. This builds not just navigation skills, but resilience, confidence, and trust. The process begins slowly. After your birds are flying confidently around the loft, usually around day 60, introduce directional training. Start with 1 kilometer tosses to the south, as you always have. But after 3 successful returns, add a 1 kilometer toss to the east. Don't rush. Let them return, rest, and process. Then do it again. Once they're confident east, add west, then north, then the diagonals. Over 6 to 8 weeks, you'll have covered all 8 compass points. The distances stay short at first, 1, 2, 3 kilometers, not to test endurance, but to build recognition. At this stage, speed doesn't matter. What matters is that the bird looks at the landscape and says, "I know this place." Many fanciers worry this will confuse the birds. It won't. Pigeons are not confused by more information. They're confused by less. Their brains are wired to integrate sensory input from all directions. In fact, studies show that birds trained in multiple directions develop stronger neural pathways in the hippocampus, the part of the brain responsible for spatial memory. They don't get overwhelmed, they get smarter, and the results speak for themselves. Lofts that adopt full-circle training report higher return rates, faster trap response, and calmer birds on race day. One fancier in the Netherlands switched to this method after losing 12 young birds in one season. The next year, with the same bloodlines, same loft, same feed, he lost none. His birds didn't change, his training did. This isn't about being perfect, it's about being complete. You don't need to train all 8 directions every week. You don't need special equipment. You just need to be intentional. Pick one new direction every 7 to 10 days. Watch how your birds respond, adjust as needed, and never stop observing. Because the moment your bird flies home from an unfamiliar direction without hesitation, that's the moment you know you've given it the greatest gift a fancier can offer: the freedom to find its way, no matter where the sky takes it. The mistake of single-direction training is so common because it feels efficient. It's easy, it's traditional, but efficiency without completeness is an illusion. You may save time in training, but you lose birds in racing. You may follow the old ways, but you ignore the new realities of the sport. The birds don't care about tradition. They care about truth. And the truth is this: home is not a direction, it's a center. And from the center, all paths lead back. So the next time you prepare your young birds for a toss, ask yourself, am I teaching them one road or the whole world? Because the difference between a lost bird and a champion isn't speed, bloodlines, or luck. It's the size of the map you've given them. And that map is yours to draw. The solution to single-direction training isn't a secret. It's not expensive. It doesn't require new lofts, imported birds, or advanced technology. It requires only one thing: a shift in perspective. Instead of seeing your loft as the end of a race, see it as the center of a world. And instead of training your birds to follow a path, train them to understand the sky. This begins not with distance, but with direction. Not with speed, but with sight. The first step is to map your local area in all 8 compass points. Stand on your roof at dawn and look north. What do you see? A forest? A river? A road? Now look east. A village? Power lines? Farmland? Do this for all directions. Take notes. Sketch a simple map. This isn't for you, it's for your birds. Every landmark, every scent, every sound will become part of their mental GPS. Once you know your terrain, you can begin training. Start after your young birds are flying confidently around the loft. usually around day 60. Begin with the direction they know best. South. Do 3 1-kilometer tosses. Watch how they return. If they dive straight to the trap, they're ready for the next step. If they circle or hesitate, repeat until they're confident. Never rush. Confidence is the foundation of navigation. After south, move to east. Choose a release point 1 kilometer east of your loft. Make sure it's safe, no predators, no traffic, no tall buildings blocking the view. Release in the morning between 7 and 9 a.m. when the sun is low and shadows are long. This gives the clearest visual cues for their sun compass. Watch how they return. Do not interfere. Do not call them. Let them find their way on their own. This is where the learning happens. After 3 successful returns from 1 kilometer east, increase to 2 kilometers. Then 3. Keep the distances short, not to test endurance, but to build recognition. At this stage, the goal isn't speed, it's familiarity. The bird should look at the landscape and say, I know this place. Once east is solid, move to west, then north, then the diagonals, northeast, northwest, southeast, southwest. Over 6 to 8 weeks, you'll have covered all 8 directions. The key is consistency, not intensity. 1 new direction every 7 to 10 days. 3 tosses per direction before increasing distance. Always allow 48 hours of rest between tosses. Never toss in bad weather, wind over 20 kilometers per hour, rain or overcast skies. Overcast blocks the sun compass, and without a full map, your bird has nothing to fall back on. Feeding during this phase must support mental clarity, not just physical energy. Reduce corn slightly from 25% to 20% to avoid excess body heat. Increase wheat to 45% for steady, clean energy. Keep peas at 20% for muscle repair and brain function. Add safflower to 15% for healthy fats that support nerve signaling. Feed 35 to 40 grams per bird per day, split into 2 meals. Never overfeed. A full crop weighs the bird down and diverts blood to digestion, not navigation. Water must be changed twice daily. Add apple cider vinegar 4 times a week, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, to support gut health and reduce inflammation. 3 days before any toss over 5 kilometers, add electrolytes to the water. A pinch of sea salt, a drop of honey, and a squeeze of lemon per liter. This keeps nerves firing sharp and muscles responsive. After each toss, recovery is non-negotiable. The first 30 minutes, fresh water with electrolytes. Let them drink freely. The next 30 minutes, recovery feed. 50% peas, 30% wheat, 20% flaxseed. This rebuilds muscle, reduces inflammation, and kickstarts digestion. That evening, add probiotics to the water. Plain unsweetened yogurt, 1 teaspoon per bird, or a commercial pigeon probiotic. This restores gut balance after the stress of flight. Watch your birds closely for the next 48 hours. Are they eating with enthusiasm, flying short laps, or are they sitting quietly, feathers fluffed? The latter means they're not ready for the next step. Give them an extra rest week. Never push through fatigue. As distances increase to 10, 25, 50 kilometers, maintain the same directional discipline. Never skip a direction. Even if races always come from the south, keep training east, west, and north. These are your bird's backup plans. When a crosswind pushes it off course, it will fall back on these memories. One fancier in Belgium discovered this during a national race. His birds were blown 30 kilometers east by a storm. While others vanished, his returned within hours. Why? Because they'd trained east every week for months. The landscape wasn't foreign. It was familiar. But training isn't just about tosses. It's about the loft environment. Your loft must be easy to recognize from the air. Paint the roof a bright color, red, white, yellow. Add a small flag or windsock. Keep the area around it clear of clutter. No hanging laundry, no new furniture, no visitors standing near the trap. Inside, keep the layout simple and consistent. Same perches, same feeders, same waters. Birds use these cues to orient the moment they land. Change them during training season, and you add confusion at the worst possible time. Group dynamics matter too. Always release young birds in small, consistent groups of 3 to 5, same age, same experience level. Why? Because they learn from each other. One confident flyer can lead the rest home, but never mix young birds with older, faster racers. The young ones get left behind, panic, and give up. And never release a bird that's molting, sick, or stressed. A tired mind can't navigate. A scared heart won't fly home. Now, how do you know which birds to keep racing? Use 3 criteria. First, trap response. Do they dive in immediately or hesitate? Second, return consistency. Do they come back within predicted time, race after race? Third, stress resilience. Do they stay calm in the basket or panic? Birds that score high on all 3 are your future champions. Those that lag in one area may still be valuable, but not for racing. Retire them early to breeding or rest. Never force a reluctant bird. It won't make a champion, it'll make a lost bird. This system isn't just about winning races, it's about building a legacy. The birds that master full circle navigation become the foundation of your future bloodlines. Their offspring inherit not just speed but intelligence, confidence, and resilience. One hen that returned from a 200-kilometer race through a storm became the mother of 3 national winners. Her value wasn't in her wings, it was in her mind. And this is where the sport transforms. When fanciers stop racing for trophies and start racing for understanding, everything changes. The birds fly with joy, not fear. The losses drop, the returns rise, and the bond between fancier and pigeon deepens into something sacred. Because you're not just sending them out to win, you're trusting them to find their way home, and they're trusting you to be there when they do. So as you stand at your loft door watching the sky for your birds, remember this: the greatest gift you can give them isn't speed or strength or even love. It's a complete map of the world, a map that says no matter where you are, no matter how far you've flown, home is always within reach. And when they circle your loft, tired but triumphant, and dive in like they've carried your heart in their wings the whole way, that's not just a return, that's a promise kept. The mistake of single-direction training ends with you, not because you're better than others, but because you chose to see the sky in full. And in doing so, you gave your birds the one thing every living creature deserves: the freedom to find their way home.